matchup, combined with that very powerful 7/6 dinosaur, Rotting Regisaur. So we're going to see if that combination of cards does show up, of course, but for Shi Tian, it's low to the ground, it's quick, it's got to be very, very fast beatdowns. We've seen him earlier and his prowess for these kind of strategies. This is actually a pretty good matchup for him, all things considered. I know that our other Mardu Knights players and Eric Froelich and Ben Stark did not want to play against Mono Red. I imagine that Ken feels the same way, and we'll see how the games do unfold.
This is going to be a very unique matchup this weekend. The first aggro on aggro action we've seen. I'm very excited. Taking a look at our opening hands, Tournament Ground and the Mountain. We've got a lot of action in this for Ken Yukuhiro.
Tournament Ground's a very, very important card for Ken's deck, so I'm not surprised to see him keep this hand. And there is the big dino alongside the Ember Cleave. So the 1-2
for him.
Yeah, I mean the 1-2 punch is there, at least in hand. Inability to cast it right now, but you know, a couple draw steps maybe take care of that.
Shi Tian's hand looking pretty good as well. It's got the Runaway Steamkin going. That's going to get nice and big with each future red spell that's played. Steel Claw Lance is on the battlefield for Ken Yukuhiro. It's going to get equipped to the Fervent Champion for free. He's swinging in for 3 points of damage.
Both these players with very good 2-drops to be sure. However, the Runaway Steamkin is the scarier of the two. This Mardu Knights deck does not have very much removal at all. So once Runaway Steamkin is on the battlefield, it's more or less on the battlefield for good. So you're going to see 2 copies now. The follow-up is a Scorch Spitter. These Steamkins are going to grow, and the next turn Ailey could be absolutely nuts.
If he finds another land, Torbran enters the fray. Another Tournament Grounds, not the swamp we need to get Sir Reginald rockin', but it's an acclaimed contender who finds Rimrock Knight, Black Lance Paragon, and Inspiring Veteran on top of the library. What do we pick here?
Boy, Black Lance Paragon looks good. Inspiring Veteran does as well. I think Rimrock Knight might be the worst of the 3, but it's actually a pretty tough decision here for Yukuhiro, so he's going to take a look at the battlefield here very quickly before making the selection. Ultimately going to go with the Black Lance Paragon.
No attacks, Fervent Champion holding down the fort. A Fervent Champion of his own, Shi Tian finds no land, so no Torbran, but we can get Cavalcade down with the Fervent Champion.
Yeah, what Yukuhiro's doing here in this game, because Runaway Steamkins, plural, are on the battlefield, is he's got to play defense.
Yeah.
And what he's going to try to do is build up a battlefield that allows him to play defense and then turn that into offense with the 1-2 punch of the dinosaur plus the Ember Cleave. So that's kind of the game plan here, is keep my life total high. There's no racing to be done, and eventually I know that my opponent has real no way to stop the 7/6 plus the very powerful equipment, and that's how I can win the game.
Can Lee basically empty out his hand here with the Steamkins?
Pretty easy to do. I think if he wants to do that, he can start with the Cavalcade, use the Steamkin that has 3 counters to add 3 red, and kind of move on from there. He can chain it all together. That's what we saw in our previous standard format with Experimental Frenzy, but he is without that card in his main deck this weekend.
Yeah, and unfortunately no light up the stage either, just to get a few extra looks on the top of his library and keep those Steamkins rolling.
But still in a pretty good spot to be in here. Tybalt is now in the battlefield. You get a little 1/1 Knucklehead there. Can go to Torbran if he'd like to, along with the Fervent Champion. So again, the ability to empty out the hand is actually pretty easy to do. It's just more of a question of if he wants to do that or not.
Torbran is going to enter the battlefield. Runaway Steamkins gaining their counters off of the triggers. So just Fervent Champion in hand for Shi Tian, and he's setting up for a mighty attack next turn. Sacred Foundry off the top, still no Black Source for Rotting Regisaur. Black Lance Paragon, Knight of Ebon Legion, Acclaimed Contender, and Ember Cleave in the hand of Yukuhiro.
Yeah, as good as the Regisaur is, its creature type is not Knight. It is a zombie dinosaur, which is pretty sweet, all things told, but unfortunately Tournament Grounds cannot help cast the big 7/6 dinosaurs. So for right now, Ken Yukuhiro's mana is weirdly not coming together, because even though he can cast all of these Knights, it's the big dinosaur he'd rather have in the battlefield to set up maybe a little Ember Cleave action.
Exactly right. So just deciding what he wants to do here. What is the sequence? Knight of Ebon Legion is going to enter the battlefield. Probably see the Sacred Foundry in a little bit. Black Lance Paragon can be pretty much of a nuisance when flashed in. Shi Tian does know about it, though, as it is revealed. We're going to move over the Steel Claw Lance to the Acclaimed Contender. Make it just, you know, a 5/5.
Yeah, this is a little bit curious about how Yukuhiro wants to maybe try to work through combat here. At least nothing right now. Blacklands Paragon at the ready.
Oh, this is painful. 2 fervent champions with Cavalcade of Calamity and Torbrand.
Yeah, it's time.
Oh, we're mathing.
Yeah, it's time to start doing some math here, because do keep in mind that these fervent champions will also grow the runaway Steamkins as well. So
you can just
how much
empty
damage?
that in attack.
Yeah, I mean, how much damage can he do this turn? That's exactly what Lee is going to try to figure out as well.
All right, here we go. So, no emptying of the Steamkins. We want 1/1s. Cavalcade only works with those, so let's empty those out. Let's swing in with the team, and let's get lethal, perhaps? I don't know. Math is for blockers, and Cedric, you are quicker than me, so go.
Well, I'm into this attack for sure. We're going to get a whole lot of Cavalcade triggers, to be sure, and those Cavalcade triggers are going to deal quite a bit of damage thanks to our old friend Torbrand.
Oh, here we go. You like triggers? There you go.
Oh, you got
Have some triggers. Ow, 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 and dead.
Just like that.
Holy smokes.
Unfortunately there for Yukuhiro, not able to really get anything going. He was trying to build up a defensive wall, but unfortunately for him, Cavalcade and Torbrand say, you know what, I don't actually have to deal any damage to you via combat.
Just triggers.
The powerful enchantment, the namesake card of the deck, takes game number 1.
I think that was possibly the perfect outcome for the deck. It behaved exactly how he intended it to.
Yeah.
We've seen this deck whiff several times, not finding Torbrand, not finding Cavalcade, and just everything came together there, but it's not over till it's over.
Nope, but this is the nightmare matchup here for Ken. Again, he does have the ability to steal the games with the 1-2 punch that we've seen so many times here this weekend, the Dino plus the Cleave, but it did not come to fruition that game. So if you're Lee, he talked about how he was really scared of this top 8, not a lot of Bangolos, obviously a lot of Oko decks that are still running around the top 8 here this afternoon. This is a matchup he's got to be pumped about. He won't show it, but he's up a game and he's really darn happy about it. This is an ideal pairing, Alias.
Oh, yes, indeed. So both players just analyzing, agonizing, rather, over their sideboard choices. We see those 4 lava coils. They're pretty good killing knights, I've seen.
Now, one of the nice things that Lee can do now is he's going to change up his sideboard a little bit. Those experimental frenzies I talked about in game number 1, how those used to be a mainstay in standard, well, they're more of a sideboard card now, but they're great in a matchup like this that's going to kind of go a little bit attrition-y and a little bit long. Nothing beats experimental frenzy in a long game, and Lee can actually build his deck and play towards that very powerful enchantment for game 2, and if we get there, game 3.
Oh, yes, especially if he's got those Steamkins to help keep things flowing out of the experimental frenzy. Let's take a look at the opening hands here. That's a lot of removal. And not much land.
That is a lot of removal. Only 1 mountain, a bevy of lava coils, and of course Bone Crusher Giant. I think the more important part of that card at least would be Stomp, but I like sending this back. I think this hand is much, much better. Plenty of interaction. Work yourself towards a longer game. And ideally, again, work towards an experimental frenzy if you do draw one.
So Torbrand goes to the bottom of the library for Lee. And Ken Yukuhiro is pretty happy with his hand. Fervent Champion on the battlefield. Swing-a-ding-ding.
Yeah, I think both players have totally fine hands here. I do really like how Lee's hand is kind of shaped up, but that's the scary card.
Oh, yeah.
The 7/6 Dinosaur is the very, very scary card because Lava Coil doesn't kill it, Shock doesn't kill it. The combination of the 2 cards kill it, but then, of course, you're using 2 cards to take care of 1, and you're happy with that exchange if you're Yukuhiro.
So the Shock is going to take care of the Fervent Champion on the battlefield. Blacklands Paragon can be flashed in whenever Yukuhiro decides to. Mountain off the top for Shi Tian. Not a blistering start that we saw last time. Just kind of, you know, getting things run out there. He's got a lot of removal. Can take care of this Blacklands Paragon too if he wants to, but lets it be for the time being.
No 3rd land here for Ken is a bit problematic. You do see Rimrock Knight and Fervent Champion in hand. Both those cards are obviously good Magic cards, but this was a turn you would have loved to cast old Reggie or Acclaimed Contender. So, unfortunately, just got to follow up with the 3/1 here in Rimrock Knight.
So Stomp taking care of the Blacklands Paragon. Rimrock Knight on the battlefield. Shi Tian doing all right for lands and creatures, and the Legion War Boss is going to start creating little goblins.
Yeah, this is a nice card to have in this matchup, too, because
yes.
not a ton of removal running around. You see that 2nd copy of Legion's End, not going to get a whole lot of work done with that one. So just going to be rim rocking on in, following up with the Fervent Champion, and passing the turn back.
Fervent Champion can do a decent job of blocking these little 1/1s, but Legion War Boss does have a mentor, so they're going to get out of hand rather quickly. Legion's End can clear them out, but we want to deal with this Legion War Boss ideally if we are Ken Yukuhiro.
Yeah, here come the knuckleheads. You're going to get a mentor counter there, as you did mention. So no good blocks, pardon me, for Javier Dominguez. That is our fervent champion that's on the battlefield. And now Bone Crusher Giant post-combat means that Lee is starting to really run away with it.
Wow, certainly so. No third land for Ken Yukuhiro. Very much on the back foot. Legion's End will deal with these goblin tokens for the time being, but he's in a pickle. Rimrock Knight cannot block, so he's just swinging in, getting the damage that he can. And Lee's not going to bother about that at all.
Well, no, again, going to use his life total as a resource, falling down to 12. Knows that his opponent has to win the game via combat, not going to get burned out or anything like that. So falling from 15 to 12, totally fine, and can continue to actually be aggressive here, and really might decide to ramp it up a little bit with the lava coil, so there's no chump blocking allowed. I think that's what he might be thinking about a little bit here is fervent champion, lava coil creature. I think your hand is pretty weak. Let's try to get this game over with.
Oh yes. Legion Warboss can also mentor up Fervent Champion if it decides to. So this is looking very much like Shi Tian's game here. Just a reminder, this is a lose and out, so if Ken Yukuhiro cannot win here, he's out of the tournament. Shi Tian continues to fight on. Massive amounts of damage, down to 7 goes Ken Yukuhiro. There's land number 3. Is it too little too late, Cedric?
It is too little too late. Godless Shrine's going to bring Ken down to 5. He already knows about the lava coil that is in Lee's hand, and he's going to scoop it up.
That's it. Unfortunate for Ken Yukuhiro, but Shi Tian with a quick 1